What's up, everybody? It is Rustbeard, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time to explain to people that it is okay. It's absolutely 110% okay. There's zero things wrong with being a casual World of Warcraft player. Basically, I seen a post the other day on, it was Facebook or Instagram or something like that, in a WoW thread about how they were being grilled. They were being really grilled about how they don't understand the game, they don't understand the mechanics, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that, blah blah blah. And I've been there. I've been there myself. It's been a long time, of course, because I've been playing for a while, but it's very upsetting to see that people are still acting this way and still being just kind of little shits across the board for absolutely no reason. I've been to points where I have tried to get into progression and into heroic rating and even mythic rating to some degree. The last time I did any mythic rating, though, was in Mists of Pandaria, and I had my own flex groups and stuff that I was doing that for. I did my own progression because it was just it was fun and easier for me to do that, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I haven't done it since then a good chunk of the player base has these unrealistic expectations and requirements, and it just doesn't make any sense to me about the whole item level thing being. I mean, I understand there's a threshold, of course, like you have to have a certain item level to even be able to do the raid, of course, but there's a big section of people that unfortunately will require a ridiculous amount of item level because they want to breeze through the heroic and mythic content. Now that's fine, I guess, but when it comes to all of them being that way, that's ridiculous. It's just like trying to get a job at an entry-level thing or whatever, and they require you to have experience to get the job. I'm trying to get experience, that's why I'm applying for an entry-level job, so I can get the experience that you are now requiring for jobs that should be requiring them, and so forth. Same with the item levels. You get these groups and these people in the pre-mades and stuff that are like, okay, the item level that drops in this raid is 450. You are going to be required to have an item level of 450 or higher to do this dungeon. No, I'm trying to get the item level 450 gear from this dungeon because I don't have it already. Why would I be doing this dungeon if I already had the gear that is dropped in this dungeon or raid or whatever? It just doesn't make any sense, and it's very irritating, it's very upsetting to see, and I don't like it. And that's just one example, but there's also a lot of people that are just very volatile and toxic in Dungeon Finder. When you're picking up some dungeons and whatnot while you're leveling, and you get a tank that just so happens to not know what they're doing, okay? 9 times out of 10, they probably don't know what they're doing. But you gotta take a step back and understand that person might be younger, they might be a child, or they might be brand new to the game, they might have never played before, especially with the acquisition through the whole Microsoft acquisition and everything. There's gonna be, in the next couple of years, a lot more new players to World of Warcraft, and that's just something you're gonna have to get used to. Sorry, not sorry. When you have a tank that's doing stupid stuff, or they just don't seem to know what they're doing or whatever, there's probably a reason for it. You know what I mean? There's probably a reason why they don't know what's going on or whatnot. And 9 times out of 10, you can tell when they're just trying to be an asshole. You can tell when they're just trying to be a shit and they're trying to be cocky and ahead of themselves and whatnot. Obviously, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that genuinely are just not really sure what to do and get confused at certain mechanics or don't understand the dungeon as well as somebody like myself would, because I've ran all the dungeons countless amount of times, There's that, and then same with healers, and same with, another big one, DPS. DPS in progressive rating is very toxic. It's very fucked up, and I don't like it, because everyone's always looking at numbers, everyone's always looking at, like, just you gotta have the top DPS to even be in our group. Like, that's just some high school clique shit right there. There's no reason for that. Like, come on, guys. there's probably a reason that their numbers are not as high as some of the other people. Maybe they just don't understand the rotation. Maybe they don't understand their class, and they're trying to learn their class so they can get better DPS and so forth. It just blows my mind that people will immediately see that someone is not doing this amount of DPS, this threshold of DPS, so they kick them. And then they've got to start from scratch. They've got to start all over trying to find a group. They've got to try to find a group that will take them now that they haven't been able to progress anything whatsoever because you kicked them after the first wipe of a boss because you're too impatient to do anything about it. I don't get it. It's really frustrating. And those people are likely not going to want to play the game because you are just being an absolute shit to them for no reason. I brought up my Mists of Pandaria Mythic pre-mades and stuff like that I would do. And the reason I brought that up is because, one, we always helped people. There was never a point where we didn't invite somebody based on their experience level, their understanding of the game, the understanding of the mechanics. And I'm talking Siege of Orgrimmar, I'm talking Throne of Thunder, I'm talking like the big ones from Mythic Pandaria. We did a lot of Mythic Progression. And I'm not trying to like holier than thou kind of situation. I'm just saying that there's a way to go about it, and I'll explain why that's the way to go about it instead of the way that a lot of people are doing it now. So me and my buddy Kilgareth, we started these mythic raids, and we wanted to make it so that the people that we got were probably going to be newer, probably not understanding the raid so much, and we wanted to teach them. We wanted to have them understand the raid. That way, the next time they got into a group that wasn't with us, they would understand how the bosses worked, how the mechanics worked, where to stand in a certain fight, what kind of abilities to use in a certain fight, when you should pop your cooldowns, like all that kind of stuff. And yeah, those took a little bit longer. I'm not gonna lie. There was a point where those things took a little bit longer than they would have had we just gotten a fully prepared group of people that knew what the hell they were doing. I will say that those people that I seen in these groups with us, where we were teaching them how to do the dungeons, how to do the raids and stuff, still play World of Warcraft. I still see them pop up in my social tab or whatever. They're online constantly. They love the game. They still want to play. They still want to come back and experience the new dungeons and raids. I have seen a few of them switch over to PvP. That's not my doing by any stretch, because I didn't really do a whole lot of PvP other than Ashran. I was doing Ashran groups, my own Ashran groups, probably towards the end of Warlords of Draenor sometime for a little while, but I didn't really make a whole lot of friends during Ashran. It was just one of those things that I did to pass the time, because I was so bored with the game at the time. In Pandaria, these groups that we made, they legit loved the fact that we were just taking the extra time that it takes to give them the understanding of the game. Granted, had we not been that way and we required a max item level to do this entry-level raid or this entry-level dungeon or whatever, they probably wouldn't have had that experience. They probably would not want to play the game anymore. They probably would not have come back to the game afterwards. They would probably be like, man, it is too damn hard to get into a raid. Why would I ever want to do that? And it's possible, guys. We can do that, you know? Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, we don't have time for that. We don't have the time. The fact that you open this video up with, it's okay to be a casual player, insinuates that you don't have the time either. Well, that's where you're wrong, okay? One, if you don't have the time to run progressive raids, and I'm talking normal, heroic, mythic, any of those brackets, then you probably shouldn't be leading the group, okay? You should probably be jumping into the more flexible groups to begin with. Secondly, me and my buddy, like recently, within Dragonflight, it was the first raid, we did progressive normal, and we started doing progressive heroic with pickup groups. Pugs. Entirely made out of pugs, okay? We were even new, because we are both very, very, very busy. We're busy people. I make music, and I've got stuff outside of my day job that I do. I've got my day job, you know, like, there's tons of stuff that I do, but he also is a dad. He has extracurriculars that he does outside of his day job and so forth. We made it work. We had a scheduled day where we would sit down on, I think it was Fridays, and we would get a pickup group, and we would progress through the raid. And we had a fun time. We had a great time doing it, and we even met some people that legit stayed our friends. They're still online today, and some of them even helped us and whatnot, even though we were the ones leading the raid group. It is very possible. It's very possible to do this. It's very possible to not be an asshole about it. It's very possible to kind of sit back and take your time if that's what you want to do. Now, you can always join the groups that are just being complete elitists about it. That's fine, but that takes so much more fun out of the game. That makes me not want to play the game. I don't want to be in a raid group where they are constantly fine-tooth combing my DPS and my rotation and so forth, even though I tank, I guess, but still, I don't want to have that pressure down my back, you know? I want to be able to experience the raid, figure out what I'm doing wrong, and fix it, you know? Like, it's not something that should be an argument, even. It's a game, okay? At the end of the day, it's just a game, but like, you gotta be patient with people. Not everybody has the same pace of learning. Not everybody has the same understanding of the game as you do. And I think we just need to be better about being more welcoming and open to having newer players jump in and teaching them the raid. It's that simple. We'll have a better game in that state than we will if we continue this very zealous approach to creating groups for raids. Same with just other content in general too. Just be more open. Be open to teaching. Be open to showing new players the ropes. Be open to giving them a new experience that they will remember, that will make them want to come back to the game. At the end of the day, it's an MMO. I want there to be a ton of players. I want there to be more people in World of Warcraft. That's just how it is. Season of Discovery has been super fun because there's so many people playing it. It's great. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about that. Here's one thing that I would challenge each and every one of you guys to do, as far as the more experienced players, the veteran players, and so forth. If you've been playing the game for any amount of time whatsoever, I challenge you to do this next time you come across a new player. Whether it be in a dungeon, whether it be in a raid, whether it be out questing in a new zone, if you somehow manage to figure out that they are a new player and they just jumped into the game recently and are kind of having a hard time with it, or maybe they don't quite understand this or they don't understand that, I challenge you all to take them to a place that makes you want to come back to the game. Run them through a dungeon, get them a piece of gear or something that, like, maybe you thought was cool when you first started playing the game. Obviously within reason. I'm not saying go to spend like massive amounts of gold on shit, but take them to a dungeon that will drop something fairly regularly, ICC or something, or whatever. You know, the gear drops in legacy raids and whatnot. Run them through it, talk to them. Just legit talk to them. My thing that I do, every time I meet a new player, what I do is I get into a conversation about mounts. And then I will take them to the Culling of Stratholme, and I will run them through the Culling of Stratholme, and I will get them the Bronze Drake. Every time. I have gotten that mount so many times, it's not even funny. And yes, it's an old mount. Yes, it's an easy mount to get. And yes, it doesn't have the cool high-res textures and stuff that some of the other mounts do. But being able to have a mount that drops from a dungeon, that is from a secret boss that they probably wouldn't have known about otherwise, unless they were doing some digging, is really cool to a new player. No matter how low-res the textures are, no matter how easy it was to get it, it's something that they will probably remember. It's something that they will probably be very grateful for, just because you took the time to go out of your way and get a mount from a dungeon that has no relevance to you whatsoever as a max level player. And that will sit with them a lot farther than being just drill sergeant about them in a raid. You know what I mean? Ways you can go about this is, in a dungeon, especially LFR, be observant. Be very observant. If you see a player that's kind of got like a little bit less DPS than the rest of them, and they kind of seem like they're a little confused on their rotation, most veteran players can pick this out pretty easily. Or a tank or a healer, those are the easiest ones to figure that out with. Message them. Just shoot them a whisper and just be like, hey, are you new to the game? 9 times out of 10, they'll let you know. Yeah, I am kind of new. I just started like last week or whatever. At that point, boom, get out of there. Say, all right, hey, after this dungeon, you want to group up with me. I want to take you to somewhere that I thought was really cool when I was a new player, just because I could definitely see that you were trying to get used to your mechanics or trying to get your rotation down or whatever. And trust me, they'll probably appreciate it. I've been going on for far too long now. I just wanted to make this video because I think that we just need a little bit more positivity when it comes to new players and new player experience if we want them to stay. And I personally want them to stay because I want my MMO to have a massive multiplayer presence. I mean, that's just how it is, you know? If you like this video, make sure you leave a giant thumbs up on it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. Let me know in the comments if you have experienced any new players in your playthrough of WoW, and if you did, what did you do? Did you just treat them like any other player? Did you take them out of your way to go get them a bronze drake? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's anything special that you do for new players to try to get them to stay and play our lovely game that we like to spend a lot of our time in. With that out of the way, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.